I'll start off that way.
Sounds good.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever and wherever you are. This is Lee, and we're on the game of tongues, where we work on speech anxiety in all its gross forms. And right now, I have the pleasure of talking to one of my mates, one of my first mates, PWS mates that I ever worked with after I put out the first edition of my book, and his name is Josh. Say hello, Josh.
Hello, Lee. Hello,
And
friend.
Josh is a pastor for he'll tell you the exact details in Texas. And when he came to me, it was 2016, and by the end of that year, he had posted a success story on Speech Anxiety Anonymous, and he was one of the first handful of people that contacted me from my book and stopped stuttering. And he stuttered a pretty darn good bit when we
hmm
met, and he'd been doing it all his life. And since he stopped his stuttering, since he gained control of it, we all stutter a little bit. Even President Obama goes, I. Everybody stutters a little bit. But I mean, since he stopped fearing stuttering and stopped appearing to be a stutterer to the world, he has been on the stage constantly. And I'm going to ask him to fill us in on that and tell us how it's done since he got a handle on it in 2016. So, Josh, will you just tell us a little bit about your journey when you started stuttering and what your life was like and what it has become?
Sure, yeah. So I first started stuttering when I was 3. Um, I would get stuck on words. I would block, as we call it. And back then, what they did was they put me in speech therapy. I was in speech therapy in school. That was part of the special needs section of school. And I was in speech therapy up until 7th grade. So, and at that point, we moved towns, moved cities, and we just never signed me up for speech therapy past that point. So, I always just classified myself as a stutterer and just concluded that that was going to be me my whole life. I was just a stutterer. That's part of me. I remember standing in a coffee shop line. Lee, I've told you this story, knowing that, okay, Christmas time, I want to get the white chocolate peppermint mocha. Now that is a doozy word, even if you don't stutter. White chocolate.
That's right.
I'm in line, saying it, whispering it, being like, okay, I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna get this one. Get up there. I feel the block coming with that what, and I say, take a small coffee.
You don't know how common that story is of something
Oh yeah,
like that. Anyway, go
oh
ahead.
yeah, yeah. So I had read some books that were not super helpful, and then I had just joined Audible, and I looked up and thought, okay, wait, what if there's a stuttering book? And I had this thought, what if it's read by a guy who stuttered, and he could prove to me that he's not stuttering? I found your book, narrated by the author. Like, okay, wait, so if this guy can read me the whole book and he's not stuttering, clearly he's doing something right. So listen to your book as I drove and started to practice some of your methods right then. But then at the end, you give your email and say, please reach out. Please let me know where you're at in this journey. Let me know if this book helps. Let me know if it's not helping, but please reach out. So I sent you an email. This was, I think, March of 2016. So I
Yeah.
sent you that email, and you were back right away trying to set up a Skype call. And from that point on, coached me for free monthly. I think it was every other week. And then we moved back to monthly and we moved to quarterly. And now we just check in and try to stay in touch. But since that point, since I've been
How did your
practicing,
life change?
since I've been practicing your methods, um, I went from one who classifies myself as a stutterer to now I speak freely. I speak comfortably, like I am right now. Um, and like you've kind of started to allude to, my job is to speak. I'm a kids pastor. So when we first met, I was on a staff at a very large church, and my job was to speak. And I kept getting these jobs where my job was to stand on stage and speak. And if you're standing on stage speaking and you're going to stutter on the word Jesus, sure, it's not helpful.
No, it's not helpful.
Yeah, yeah, I would block on
I'm
that.
sure Jesus understood, but
Right, right. But the kids would think that I just forgot his name. It would be bad. I would be like, and the kids would say, Jesus. Yes, that guy. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. So I knew that my dream was to be a pastor. But pastors, not only do they speak on stage, they lead leaders, and then they walk through really, really difficult, challenging moments with families. They're in funerals, they're in weddings, they're in hospital rooms. As people die, as people are born, I mean, they get to be in those life milestone moments.
exactly,
And if I'm going to be in the front row, on the front row of those life milestone moments, I need to be able to talk.
exactly,
I'm not going to be able to comfort a grieving mom if I can't get out her child's name.
exactly.
So, from that point on, since I've started to practice your methods, um, I'm now living that dream. I speak fluently. I'm a kids pastor. Next week, I'm going to be on stage in front of 1,600 people. Every week now, I'm on stage in front of 200 kids and volunteers. I lead leaders. I send out videos every single week of me doing training and telling my volunteers what's going on in our kids ministry. Um, I get asked to speak at private schools as a guest speaker. All these things that I never dreamed of. And I'm teaching parenting classes. I'm doing all these things that involve speaking. And then as far as the shepherding thing goes, a couple weeks ago we had a child in the hospital. Wasn't sure if she was going to make it for a few days there, and I was able to be there, serve that family, serve that mom, serve that dad, pray with them, encourage them, send them little video messages. All of this involves speaking. I couldn't do most of this job, really any of this job, without speaking. And now I can. Now
Us.
people don't even know that I
And
ever.
tell us about your family life. How did that change?
So I have known my wife since I was 15. So she knew my really, really bad stutter. She was 13 then, and then we got married about 10 years after that. And
But I remember when you were just starting to court her again, and you were so
yeah,
excited, and you were
yeah,
so concerned about your speech and so forth.
that's right. Yeah, she's seen the whole process of. She knew me back then. She knew when we were first starting to court again. She saw me fighting it. She saw me talking to you and starting to practice these methods. And then she heard me be able to read my vows without any stuttering when we got
Great.
married in 2018.
I might say that on Speech Anxiety Anonymous, Josh's picture, he's one of the first um, success stories posted there because he was chronologically in the first three, and he's posted somewhere near that. And his picture there is with his wife, who was, I think, then his fiancee, or he had just married her. It's a wonderful picture of the two of them with their heads together. And I'm sure anyone listening to this would enjoy looking at that picture and your story. But
That was,
I had a guy, Johnson's son. You didn't know Johnson, but you knew of him, I think, because he was he was even a worse stutterer than you were, and he grimaced terribly. He had a horrible time, and he told me recently he cured the same time you did, and that was in 2016. So here we're in 2020 now, and
yeah,
Johnson told me I met Johnson in New York. I flew to New York to meet him because
wow,
he came to New York several times and said, I want to meet you. And he said, if you don't come to New York this time, I'm coming to Bermuda. And I said, no, I'll come to New York and I'll meet you. I want to meet you. So I made a trip to New York to meet him, and I had a
wow,
picture together. We had it on Facebook. But what he said to me was when he got back to Shanghai, and later he said, he said, and he's 35. He said, for the first time in my life, I have a girlfriend.
my, wow.
This is life changing stuff, and you know Josh, I'm so proud of you and what you've done, and all I could say is um, always include in your when you do your prayers. I mean, do some affirmations too about your speech, and be determined to love to speak in all venues. There are no exceptions. You don't care what they are. You're going to shine. You've got a message, a worthwhile message, and you need to get it out there. And you're going to do it. Period. And you're going to love doing it. And you're not going to think words. You're going to think emotions and joy and love and all the things you want to project that you hope that your
Hmm.
parishioners will emulate. That's what you're trying to project anyway. And if you're focused on that, the words will flow like honey.
Hmm.
We cannot think words, Josh. We cannot do it.
Nope.
Well, listen, I know you've got to run. So, is there anything you want to say, just in parting to anyone who might listen to this thing? Any message you want to give them?
All I'll say is the only way that this stuff works is if you practice it. If you just read that book and say, that's good stuff and move on, it's not going to help you. Or if you just fight it and don't even try it, that's not going to help you. Try it, practice it for months and just watch your life change, watch your speech change. These people are the real deal. Trust it. Trust these methods.
Thanks so much, Josh. And listen, it's wonderful to see you again. Someday I hope to meet you and your beautiful bride. I doubt I'll ever come to your place in Texas, but if you ever go to New York, let me know, and
Yes,
I'll try and get up there and hold your hand and have a cup of coffee with you. You know.
sounds great.
So
Sounds great.
listen, have a wonderful day, a marvelous 2020, and don't forget to send me your email with your address because I want to send you your autograph book.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Take care now. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye now. And that's Josh, and oh, that's a wonderful story. And I'm so happy for him. He has proven that since he can say one word anywhere, anytime, that he too can say any word anywhere, anytime. You can do the same. I hope you will. Take care.